Hello, everybody, and happy Thursday, and welcome to your daily lighting critique. I think that my environment is very similar to this one, so let's go ahead and start here. And also, because we were giving Andre a hard time before we got started, so I think it's only fair that we start with him here. So we were just discussing. So Andre's actually using a 2D motion blur out of After Effects. That's just looks like it's just kind of doing some frame analysis before and after, and it looks pretty good. If anything, I mean, like. There are a couple parts like where she lands where it might be a little dodgy, but it's cool because even if you just use it as a visualization of what motion blur will look like, I think it's a really, really smart tool because it happens so much. Like, there'll be times when you're like, when you're lighting something and even the art director, whoever producer is looking at it and they're like, you know what? Like they'll kind of step through like this landing part and they'll want you to put like a special rim on her hair or something, and then when you go to motion blur, like it just didn't matter, it was just wasted time. So it's really nice to be able to visualize the final result without the added render time. So talk to us about what's going on here. Would you update what's new, what's different?
It's what was well, I fixed the robot going through her, but then I realized that the other robot still goes through her.
Oh, the one on the ground?
Yeah, not through her, but through the other robot. In the end, they go through each other. A bit less intense light when she's
Wait, right there?
down.
Those two?
No, yeah.
Oh, I don't even tell.
Yeah, you see?
Oh, I see it there. Yeah, I do tell there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right in the end there, it kind of looks.
I thought it was just like that one part. I was like, don't worry about it. But you should probably worry about that.
No, yeah. But I think, but that I can fix just like in Nuke, just like in the end, do another one where that one is behind them.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah, you can you can even do like two different merge operations with like a garbage map between them, and then piece them together if you ever needed to.
And so a little bit less intense light when she's crouching down, and more specularity on her skin at the end, when she is. And weird that it's cutting down. It's cutting before the 290 frame.
I wouldn't.
Not sure why.
It could be in Sync Sketch too. Just double check it on your end.
Yeah.
One thing that I noticed, and we might be able to just tweak this if you have crypto mats on it, is gray tongue on her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if worst case scenario, there's like it's only really apparent on like 17 frames, or like just a handful of frames. You just need to re-render those. But
well, I'm gonna need to re-render them at like quality in the end, anyways.
Okay, so I would just make a nice pinkish texture tongue. In there, and then I still think her face is a little bit bright on this pop-up. It's not bad. It might just be that it needs more contrast, but like it gets a little bit washed out in there. I mean, it's still it's not bad. It's not bad, but it's just a little bit. Just because there's so much light value in this, we want to really ground it with some nice darks. Yeah, Justin, what do you think? How you feeling about this?
I think it's come a long way. It's looking really good. This is a tough shot. I think on that same shot where her face is close to the ground, maybe some ambient occlusion or just some shadow in there, like there.
Yeah, that might do it. Because it's just like there's a lot of just like up underneath her nose and around the creases of her lips. There's just some extra specky goodness, and having a little bit of darkness in there will help. Ambient occlusion's not a bad idea. The nice thing about ambient occlusion on a character is you can warm up you don't have to just go straight dark. You can actually warm it up a little bit. So it almost feels like subsurface shadow at that point. Very cool. Yeah, it's looking really good,
nice and fast.
Yeah. All right, anything else before we move on? All right, minimize this. All right, we'll come back to these other ones in just a moment. I do want to, since we have Justin on live, I do want to make sure we get his. Yeah. All right, Justin. So let's talk about what we updated here. So I see. By the way, the headlights look a lot better than that first iteration. You were not on the last time I think it was yesterday, but that angle looks a lot better. And you took out that street lamp over here, right?
Yep, that's gone. Turned off the light in the car, and then
Cool.
I think that I darkened kind of that mid ground, but I don't know if we got a little too dark.
No, I think it's actually pretty good. What I would like to see is, so right now the character blends in a little bit with the value of the house. I would like to see her go a little like a shade darker than the things around her. Like it's okay to have her be like a black silhouette because I think it's the only way she's going to stand out at this scale in this shot. With all this haze kind of going around, it's the only way we're going to really see her pop. Is dark value in her with a little bit of glow around the edge or like a little rim around the edge. There's a blue value inside the house here that I think, because I love the rest of this, like what's going on with the green glowiness. It's just that little blue bit that's like, I wonder, like that starts to feel a little, like every time I see these with the glowiness, I just think Ghostbusters, you know, like that's the part that starts to feel like reality or like it's a stage or a sound stage or something. And then we turn off the light inside the car. I think that looks better. Maybe get a little more reflection on the windows now that it's darker in there.
Should I let some of the light penetrate into the car so you can see in there a little bit, or
If it happens naturally, it's fine. I wouldn't be too. Yeah, maybe a little bit. It does. It's starting to feel a little bit like a black hole in there. So maybe allow a little bit of light penetration in there, but not too much. Yeah, I think the rest of it's tough to evaluate because it's at a little bit of a lower resolution, which is normally fine. It's just in these very dark images. It's hard to see some of the subtle value shifts and things. How are you feeling about it?
pretty good. I added a little bit of the rim to the top of the house, but I don't know that it's coming across quite as well. That's what we talked about, adding like that little bit of moonlight up there.
It almost feels like I really just kind of want to see it on the edges, like because really what its job would be to kind of help defining the profile of it a little bit. Like I see it a little bit there. So there's a light on the top here that's a little bit broader. Is that light, or is that another light? Okay, so I think it needs to feel more like a rim than.
What are those two speck lights on the top on the whatever chimney thing?
I think just render artifacts. I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And the bigger one and the down.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm also wondering, and play around with this if you want. I'm also wondering compositionally if it wouldn't make more sense to take this car and push it over to the right a little bit. Just because it's all, like if I step back from it, it's all just kind of like on top of each other there. And I wonder if we can use this light to kind of draw the eye. Like if the car was more like further over to that side, we could use that value to help draw the eye into the middle a little bit more. That's just going to be really not great, but let's try this here.
Yeah, I like that idea.
So just moving it over there, get that down there, and then just take this and just kind of darken it a little. Just, I mean, it's if you can slide it easily in the render and just see where that gets us. I think that could be kind of cool.
Yeah, because I think everything's kind of right on top in the middle there. Like all the right values are like right in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would help. Cool. Very good, man. All right. Great. Okay, let's hop over back into the videos. Let's see what else. Cleber, I'll come back to you in just a minute because I want to sync these up with what you were doing. With the still images. So, okay. Stephanie, I think this, I think I now feel like that drone light is more dominant because that's really what we were working on this last iteration was like, because it really making that the kind of dominant one. That's great. Now I think, because I think we can get, you know what I think we can do? I think we can make some spec only lights from this red light and from this blue light and just push some more like I think the values in the darks are good right now, but now that we're like, especially when he hits this pose down here towards the bottom, we lose this half of his face. And I think, and I don't want to push too much like diffuse light in there, but if we push some like specular light in there and allow his reflections to pick up the blue and the red around it, and then we can imagine that these lights would also be on the stairs on this side of him, so you can also push some red and blue speck in over here too. Does that seem reasonable to you guys?
Yeah. One thing that I kind of bothers me a bit is the two lights on the stairs, the two red lights.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of look like really dimmed down.
Yeah.
While the one that comes in the end here on the right is really like blown up.
Yeah.
So those two could benefit from being like the third one.
Yeah. And actually, I mean, they could, because those other two feel much more pink red, where this one just feels kind of pure white. Yeah, but like the blue light on the ground feels really nice. There's a nice brightness to it. There's a nice glow to it. I think Andre's totally right. Get the wall tube fluorescent lights could use that same treatment.
Yeah, to look like the blue, like to have the same feel of intensity as the blue one.
And I don't know, because I think this is part of like an entire animated short, but and don't feel the need to push the red if you don't want to. Like, you can't, those could be white lights with blue light coming in, and then it could just be kind of like this blue environment that on a character doesn't always feel great and makes it feel like he's in a real sense of danger too. So you don't always need red to sense danger. Blue feels unnatural on a character, can make them feel kind of desaturated and sickly with shock, like that kind of thing. But yeah, I think this is looking good. Also, one thing I haven't mentioned yet that you could try too is you can get a little bit of blue spill from this light onto the stairs a little bit, like just kind of creeping over there. You could try that and see if you like that a little bit, because it's odd that it's so bright, but then we don't really see much of its influence right next to it. But I think that could be kind of cool too. But really coming along. This is looking great. All right, and I think these other ones, these other ones are stills that I loaded in here just in case. But I think I've also got them open up here in Photoshop. So we'll start with Cleber.
I'm gonna need to go, guys, because I need to get everything ready for the trip. But I'll see you guys from Brazil.
All right, safe travels, buddy.
Thanks.
All right, be good, man. All right, cool. All right, so a lot of pressure on you, Justin. A lot of pressure on you to fact check me and stuff. Now, all right, Cleber, this is looking a lot better. There's a lot of there's a lot of shapes in here. There's a lot going on. Like, we got bubbles, we got fish, we got cards, we got chips, we got plants, we've got the octopus. The hat on the octopus, it's oddly like green and red. Usually these hats are kind of monochromatic with those kind of white lines on it, but I'm not too worried about that. So I think we need to figure out ways to simplify some of these shapes. And you've kind of started doing it by just having the pocket of light here in the middle and kind of simplifying them back there. I think depth of field will be your best friend in some of this stuff. Like, allowing some of that in the background to go out of focus a little bit will be really good. In terms of the lighting on the character, definitely got darker in here, but I think we can still go a value range darker. Let me what I'm looking for, character. All right, let's just see. So one of the things that happens with traditional good portrait lighting is that there's the bright side, then we go into this area of darkness, and then there's a little bit of rim on the screen left side. In fact, we'll go and I'm wondering, like, this one's actually a pretty good example. So there's like light coming in here, we hit some darkness here, and then there's a little bit of rim on this side. So same thing in here. And is that William Dafoe? I think so. Oh, another William Dafoe. Lots of William Dafoe's CGs. One other thing I saw, it kind of, if I go back here, I thought for a second, yeah, look at that. Huh. Yeah, one of our guys comes out in Google search when you just search character lighting portrait. That's awesome. That's so cool. That's really cool. Huh. Who knew? All right, cool. But yeah, so light here, slightly dark, a little bit of a kick light around the edge. So what I think is that we're not quite getting into that dark range here. I'm not saying we have to go that super black, but getting a little bit more of that richness in there will help this out. It like we can keep that saturation. It's just a little bit too strong. And then once that comes down, I feel like that's in the light, and that'll actually darken up some of these tentacles a little bit. Also, that light is whatever light's hitting here is casting a pretty sharp shadow. So I would increase the light radius on that to soften that a touch. This might be a good example too of. I would love to see each light rendered separately just to see how their contributions are, because I have a feeling like there's a fill light in here that might be flattening stuff out too much. If you could send those over individually and we can take a look at those tomorrow or Monday, that would be super cool. Okay, let's hop into your. Whoa. Let's see where to go. Lost it. Whoa. There we go. Whoa, portrait light. There we go. Okay. Oh, Cleber, you're here. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, buddy.
Crazy meetings, running, everything happening.
Yeah. All right. Well, you made it, so it's good. Okay, I'll kind of recap here. We're just kind of looking at this. Love the camera move, bubbles, all this stuff looks great. This looks really beautiful. I think this looks really lovely.
I'm now. Sorry, I'm opening your. Oh, sorry, I'm in now. Yes.
Say again. I'm sorry.
I was not watching your screen. For some reason. I'm watching now.
Okay. So I think this animation, I think it's beautiful. I think everything is. I think the timing and the pacing is really good. I love the subtle twist of the camera. Justin, do you have any thoughts on this? I think it looks good.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah.
I want to see it with the lights in it.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, but in terms of the lighting, some of the things that we were saying is that, like, I do notice that you got darker here on the fill side of the face. But looking at some references of portrait lighting, I think we can actually go darker in those regions, because one of the things is, well, I'll do painting. Painting will actually be good. Because one of the things that happens in these is that, like, we do kind of want a little bit more of the darker values on the non-key side, and then we can use some kick light. This is a really good one. So key light coming in here, this kind of triangle of darkness, and then a little bit of kick light in there. Same thing here, key light, fill light, a little bit of kick light. So I think, and I'm not saying we have to go quite that dark, but I think like having it at this level is a little bit too bright, and we need to kind of add some more richness in there.
Okay.
Yeah, and then watch out for the two-tone color on the hat. It just feels a little, just because it's just like this hard line between them. I would keep them just as one color, either the red or the green.
Right.
It's a little harsh transition. Utilize depth of field if you can, because there's so many complex shapes in the shot. There's so many like bubbles and cards and chips and plants and fish that like we want to kind of simplify that stuff down a little bit. And I think that adding a little bit of blur in the foreground and background will really help out with that. And then watch out for this. I see a lot of sharp shadows down here. So, and that looks like it's coming from not the key light, like the fill light. So just make sure that the radius of the light is big enough where it's good and soft. If you have the potential to render this out, like just a still frame out with like just the key light turned on, and then just like have the lights kind of separated so we can kind of take a look at those. Because my thought,
I do use like a render. All my lights are separate.
Oh, great!
All my lights. I can turn on, turn off any light.
Great. If you could, I guess tomorrow or Monday, send over those render passes. Just email them to me or however to get them to me. And then because I'd like to open those up and you can kind of take a look at them, because I think one of them is a little bit too flat, and I think we can kind of play around with it a little bit.
I could send my nuke comp too.
Yeah, sure, that'd be great. Yeah, that would be beneficial. Sometimes depending on the nuke version, it doesn't always open, but we'll give it a try. Nuke is funny like that. You need like the perfect combination.
It's a little bit messy, but you see how I organize the lights. I make like a my strategy for nuke is like remove and add.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So it's like
remove
so you break it out, you minus it out, and then you make your alteration
and add
plus
up.
it back in. Yeah.
Yes,
That makes sense.
I think it's more the right way to get the beauty at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Removing and
That's great. Yeah, I mean, you can either break everything out separately and then add it all together, or I like the remove and add methodology too. I love seeing people's nuke script because it's like a little snippet into their brains. I think it's great.
you see. Okay.
So one guy, I keep this brief. One guy, it was crazy, brilliant artist, lovely human being. I think it was even in Shake. It may have not even been Nuke, but he had everything, every node within one. He hated like scrolling around and navigating around, so it was literally just like a ball of nodes in the middle that were kind of going all over. It was like yarn or thread that was incredibly tangled, like a necklace that's been at the bottom of your drawer for 13 years, and you have to pull it out and unwind it. It literally took me like 4 hours one day to be like sliding the nodes around and just kind of like expanding it back out into a tree type structure. And I saw him, I was like, dude, what? He was like, this is how I work, man. I'm sorry. And I was like, that's bananas. Anyway.
Yeah, I think I have to be organized.
Good. Yeah. No, I will. Yeah, I'm sure. But it was bananas. I was like, dude, how do you work like that? Okay. So Cleber, and I think we just have Kaya left. Let me just double check and make sure I'm not missing anyone in the, because I think, yeah, Stephanie, we got Cleber, Kaya. Yeah, okay, cool. Kaya, I will take a look at yours over here. So we've got your reference. Really, really beautiful light coming in here. And then we've got this. So I actually like your color scheme a little bit better. I think that these fill values are a little bit too lifted. They're kind of flattening out. But with yours, we're getting some more dark values down here that look really nice. I think we could probably vignette and get a little bit darker here on this edge and a little bit darker here on this edge. Maybe some ambient occlusion in the shadows too, if you don't have that already, because it feels like this crayon might be a little floaty and a little ambient occlusion might ground it. One of the techniques that I've seen be done recently that I think is pretty cool is when you have like very bright sunlight that's kind of coming in and passing through a window or some sort of screen like it is here. One of the things that happens is there's kind of this burning of the edge of the shadow that happens from like very, very, very bright light. And the way that you light that is you have like your normal point light out here that's shining and creating this shadow. I've seen people also do a second light in the same location, larger, like much larger radius, like and much more saturated warm. And what that does is it kind of creates this bleed right in here that works really, really well, and it will allow you to kind of simulate this type of bleed, but you know, we're obviously looking much closer up. So you can kind of see that like there's the hard line, and then it's just like a little bit of softness along the edge of it, which, let me do it. Sorry, hard line, a little bit of softness, that's just like a warm, it's like an inch, maybe an inch wide bit of just like really kind of warm explosion of light coming out of there. Because what I'm seeing is a really bright light, and I think this value for the key light is really good, but we're missing some of that, like, because when it gets this bright and it hits, like there's going to be energy in that bounce as it bounces up here and kind of fills in. So it's just like a little bit more of that warm bounce light in these objects that are in the key, right? The glow is looking good. I'm trying to think if there's a way compositionally that we can, just looking, because there's like everything's kind of happening in here. There's just there's a lot of visual attention in this region, but then like here there's just like this big open space. I almost want to plug that in with something, either like another pillow, or if you have a different object to kind of fill in this spot right here. I think that would look good to kind of just border this here, and then we'll darken here to border that. Looking at this chair too, I think that the chair could potentially slide back into space a little bit too, because then that would pull the shadow back and create a little bit more light in here. And then so these shadows here look really good. This one feels a little bit tight. It's like a little bit too tight. So if these softened just a touch and that one softened a little bit, I think that would be fine. And then don't be afraid to work, because again, in these shadow areas, don't be afraid to work some specular lights in here to act as like they are reflecting things in the room that are being hit with a key light too. So that could be kind of cool. Cleber or Justin, do you guys have any other thoughts? This is good.
I think the haze in the background is starting to look really good, like that's way back there. I don't know if that's a plate or if that's actual geometry, but it's really nice back there.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's geo. Would be my guess, but I could be wrong. Yeah.
I really like the lighting.
Yeah, it's got a mood for sure.
Yeah, sometimes, like I said before, sometimes I see other things that.
Mm-hmm. I also
I'm not sure if that gray song you call it's the red ones. It look like it's floating a little bit.
Oh, the crayons? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just make sure that those are grounded. They could be.
Yeah, and below the paper, I see all clear. I feel that's a little bit I think the mattress.
Yeah.
The hug on the floor.
Yeah.
It's so it's a lot of information.
Yeah.
The detail is a lot of information.
Yeah. That's tough to replicate.
Yeah. But I like the lighting.
Yeah, I do think that getting a little shadow under here would be good too. I love the kid's drawing in here really does a lot of it does a really good job of helping the scene feel more organic and less like hard edged. I think that's really smart. I think having some drawings in your, like because you get the feeling of a human hand in there, which you don't always get from CG scenes because it's all like very mechanical feeling. That's cool. All right, great. All right, great job today, everybody. And Cleber, I look forward to seeing your layers for tomorrow, and we will see you all back soon.
It is quite big, so I will share Google Drive.
Yeah.
For you, a Google Drive link.
Cool. I still trying to. So next month, I think I'm going to open up a new lighting challenge. That's not the lion animation, because I think we're going to put a pause on that for the time being, just because I just got the fur cache for it, and I swear it's 140 gigs, and I was like, I'm not. That's a lot to put on everybody, and I'm not sure that's what we want to do. So we'll do something nice and simple, I think, for the next one. We've got a really fun asset that I've had for a while. That I've really wanted to share with everybody, so we'll get that.
For the lion, I was thinking on my planning. Mm-hmm. I was creating my own fur too.
Yeah.
Yet I was planning use the hero characters on the front, and maybe the background I'll be using maybe Unreal just for the background.
Oh, that's smart.
They have the scene for Australia.
Yeah.
That's very kind of where lions could be.
That's really interesting.
So maybe I will making like the background using, I think they use in Mandalorian or in the Star Wars. So the background would be maybe Unreal, and the foreground I will have to match what I see in Unreal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. That'll be an interesting technique. You should document that, because that'll be cool. All right, guys, I gotta hop, but you all be good, and I will see you all very soon. All right.